Yes, sir.
Okay. So today's topic will be voice-enabled snake game in JavaScript. So what happens that when we see around us, there are several projects we ought to make, right? And they are commonly like games and other apps. So why not just build something which have something different or extraordinary stuff, just like a game of our own in JavaScript which we can access through our voice? Because when we see the voice is generally happen like this is generally implemented in other technologies. So today we will learn and try to make the voice enabled snake game in JavaScript. So the brief about this project is that building a game on JavaScript, which will be voice enabled. There will be use of various functionalities and events along with canvas element. The game will first act on the basis of keystroke. So basically it means that when we are going on with our project, the game first will act upon the arrows present in our keyboard, and it will happen all in a canvas element of HTML. So from the user, then it will be converted into basic of direction given in speech by the user. Then later on, we will just convert it on the basis of the directions which will be given by the user or by you through the voice. This will cover up various topics on JavaScript, that is from working on canvas to selecting of arrays from the prototype in JavaScript. So the main motive of this talk is to make you aware of various functionalities available in the JavaScript. So the workflow for this whole game will be the game, of course, we will build up the game. Then we will work on the speech recognition of JavaScript. And then we will merge the game and speech recognition in such a way that they will function together. So in the game, I have further divided into three parts or three different functionalities. The first will be the loading and the displaying of the game, which means that the canvas element on which we are going to work, how it will be displayed and how it will be loaded on the website when we are going to play. And this will including loading of the images of food or everything, the game, the score on the everything which you are able to visible on the website. All of these things will be included here. The next part will be the movement and playing. So after when we are done with loading of the game, now the main thing is how the snake is moving, how we are making it double or we are increasing the size, what type of array we are using, and how we are changing the array and pop using different functionalities and all the playing stuff, that when we are eating the food, what all things we have to keep in mind and how this is going to happen, everything. And the last part will be the game over. So of course when there is a game, there are some rules which will it abide to make the game over. And the rules are simple, that it should not touch the boundaries, it should not touch itself. And for this we have to keep in mind several things, that whether the head is touching the body of the array or whether the head is touching the canvas element or on a certain x and y coordinates. So the loading and the displaying. So you can see that here I have maintained one I put some image of the ground. And here it is written that after creating an HTML file, link it to the JS file and load the canvas here. So canvas is basically, you can understand it by a page or a paper on your website, on which you work. You can work 2D, you can work 3D, you can build up some your own animations, you can put up your images, you can even form some trajectory paths, and you can also make some predefined or self-defined images or structures. So canvas is like a paper for an artist on which you draw, you express yourself. So there are several images which I have put with defined width and height. For instance, that every cell of this canvas has 32 on its height and width. So the base image which I have used is of 608 height into 608 in the width. So basically here, everything, the height and the width of this image is 608 by 608. And the image foot which I will use is 32 by 32. So which means that if the image is loading in between anywhere in this ground, then it will take 32 by 32 space on the ground, right? So this will be the loading and displaying the gist that how it is going to function. So in this I'll use different functions, web APIs, objects, constructors, canvas, and methods for the loading of displaying the game. So first of all, there are just few things which I have mentioned in my slide just to make you aware of this thing, that first of all, this dot get context. Using this, it will create an interface in the web page to render a drawing surface of 2D image, shapes, text, and other objects. As I told you earlier, that when we are loading a canvas in our website or in our web page, it creates a page in which you can put up your 2D as well as three-dimensional objects. So here I will use get context 2D, which will create an interface between you and the web page to render a 2D surface in which you can put up your all the things, including images, shapes, text, and other objects. Next is const abc, new abc, and abc.src. So basically it means that it is the basic thing that we are constructing with the name of abc, in which we will later on put a source or a path of a desired image or desired audio or anything. So basically creating a constructor and later on giving the constructors some values or source or path to the desired things. Next is hello, an array with the objects. You can see x9 box, y10 box. What it means that when in a 0th index of hello, there are possibility of x and y coordinates inside this array. And these are all mentioned in an object, which is saying that x can have the maximum or the minimum value is 9 into box, and box previously we have given that 32. So it is written that an initial stage of object containing values of max x and y coordinate, which is 9 times the box, that is 32, and 10 times the box, 32, that is x and y coordinates relatively. We will use everything which I am discussing right now in our later on our coding part. So these are some of the functions which I mentioned. Some of you are well aware of this thing. Still, we will just go through it. That first of all, this math.random. So what it does, that it gives or it sends a float in between 0 to 1 whenever we are calling this function, and it generates a random value. So this will be very useful for us just in case to generate the food. So let's imagine the snake eats the food. So next time where the food will generate. So we will use the math.random function to generate a random position for the food. And we will do other things also. The next part is math.floor. So what I told you earlier, that in .math.random, it generates a float value. So we have to get the integer part of this. So what math.float does, this is a function which returns the largest or equal integer number to the given number, which means it can refine the value of float to an integer value. So basically it means, let's say you have called this math.random function, right? And it generates some value known as 0.3256. And then you must be thinking that where should I put this? So to get the finest or largest value, we will use the .math.floor. The next is fill style, and last is stroke style. So these are some properties used in Canvas, which is used to, you can see it is written, this is a property of Canvas which is used to return the color, gradient, or pattern and fill the mentioned area. And the last is, this is also one property of Canvas, but it is used to fill or stroke the path with a color. So what is the difference between this? The main and the key difference between them is that when we are using the fill style, it means it will cover up the whole area or whole mentioned position area where you want to put your color or gradient or pattern. And when we are using stroke style, it means that the function or the trajectory path you will give, it will just fill that path with a color. This is used on, basically giving some border or to a chunk or an element, and we will use this eventually in our program. So these are some things which we will use for our the loading section of the and the displaying section of our game. So the next is the displaying of canvas with images and calling function. To make it visible, everything will be done inside a function and call function outside. So basically what it means that we have loaded the images, we have displayed the we have mentioned the function, but how we will draw it, I mean how we will call it. So for this we will use two functions, the draw function and the call function. So the draw function, it is written that this will contain almost everything of the game, and yes, also the displaying part. This will make sure where to display the ground image, the food image, and also score image on the canvas. So what it means that we will, in this particular function, we will give the JavaScript that, okay, load this ground image in this position or in this, you can say coordinate, load this image in this coordinate and load this score in this coordinate in the canvas section. So everything will be given in a calculate and very precise manner. So this is the main thing which will be our first task for getting into our game. The next is, okay, fine, we have described the game, we have loaded the game, we have loaded the images, and we have also given the precise coordinates for everything. But how are we going to call it? Means you can see that the game has to be running in a continuous manner, right? It cannot stop at a certain point. You cannot just hold the image right there and cannot and you cannot be like that you are not expecting any changes, because every time the snake moves there is a change, every time the snake eats there is a change, and every time anything in the snake eats, there is a change in the text, also there is a change in the food and everything. So for that we will call the draw, we will call where there will be a call function which will be like the draw function will be called on an interval to make the game running in every bit of changing the snake state and length. So what it means that this call function will call the draw function every time when there is a change in the snake's length or a snake's state. So for this, we will use set interval with a draw, which is calling the function draw, and with a numeric value, which means that 100. This states that the time which is 100 milliseconds. So if I just say 1000, it means that 1 second. So it's like this. Fine. I hope this till now everything is clear, because this is the draw function for our project which we are going to make. So let's just move ahead. Okay, so the next part is basically the movement and playing. Fine. So let's just visualize this image which I have put there. It shows that, okay, fine, there is a snake or a array, we can say, which is having a head, and there is a apple or food present in the ground section, and also there is a score above which has to be changed every time. So let's just go through it. Initially the movement will based on physical inputs from the user, which will be proceeded and then will be made into action. After getting proper response from the user, there will be series of changes which will be needed to make the change move and grow itself when eats. So what it means that when the physical inputs by the user are given, it has to maintain something that whenever the action is proceeding, we have to quickly respond to it. That means, let's say I'm pressing right arrow, and that means that we have we have to make the snake in such a order that whenever we are pressing the right arrow, it should move towards right. And the focus will be getting the direction, moving with head, increasing the size when it eats, and then removing the last of the snake tail, which it moves. What it means that, let's say the snake length is 3. It eats again, the snake length becomes 4. The head keeps on moving. It means the tail has to move itself also, because we have to maintain the length 4. This means that we have to continuously call some array functions or array methods in such a way that every time the snake eats, it has to get long, and every time the snake moves, it has to remove the tail and shift the head forward along with its body. So we will discuss this also. Okay, so the direction and the movement. Okay, let's just read this, then I'll explain this small chunk of code which I have put there. The user will be given the data or input initially by the arrow keys from the keyboard. As I have mentioned earlier, that first of all, this game will be based on the arrow keys from the keyboard itself. This will be looked by adding an event listener of key down and function attached to it. So what it means that if you are well aware with the JavaScript, then you must be knowing there are several event listeners with some several events which function acts upon or fire things on the basis of their respective events. So what it means that here we are going to use the key down. So what does key down means? That whenever you are pressing or putting a stroke on your keyboard, it will get that event for your JavaScript. And the function which is, attached to the event listener will be called. As simple as that. The function will check the code from the pressed arrows and will generate direction for the snake accordingly. So how will this occur? For example, 37, 38, 39, and 40 are the codes for the left, right, up, right, and down respectively. So I hope this is clear that when we are pressing on an arrow, the computer generates a key code for every arrow. So we are going to access those key code for our movement. Now let's come to this image where I have mentioned a function direction, a direction named function, uh, which is having an event as in this, and it is a conditional rendering which is occurring here, in which the event is passed down and the key code is being checked. So the key code, it is written that, let's say if the key code is equal to 37, which is up, then we will send the code that okay, this is left. And we have to keep in mind that if we are on a left, we cannot do right. Fine. Let's visualize this. Let's say you are going front. You cannot give the direction to the snake of backwards because it cannot move opposite direction, right? So we have to keep in mind that only if there is no right command previously and the new command is left, then only we will go left. Fine. I hope this is clear. Let's just move ahead. So the next is size increment on eating. There is a requirement to increase the size of snake when it eats the food. This means that we have to increment the size of the snake array. The increment will be done when the head of the snake meets the food, and it can be checked by seeing the position of X and Y position of head of snake as well as the food. So what it means that in a canvas, we can give precise coordinates, right? So when the snake is moving, it is moving through X and Y coordinates. So how we will know that it is eating a food? So to know that, what we will do is that we will get the position of food and we will get the position of head. Let's say the food and the head is on coordinate 3 by 4. Fine. And the head meets 3 by 4. This means whenever the head position and the foot position collides, it means it has eaten the food, right? So this is the main fundamentals or the main idea when we are proceeding with our project. So moving of head and removing of tail when the array of snake moves. So as I have discussed earlier, the same thing is coming. So we have to keep in mind that it is very important to move the direction of head on command with respect to x and y axis, which will have initially center or predefined value but can be changed. This can be performed by using the unshift function. Unshift is a function or method to add a new element to the start of an array. So to get this in a very easy way, let's say we have an array named A, and and then we put the function named unshift in the array A. So initially the array has A has 1, 2, 3, 4, and we put unshift 5. So the new array will be 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we can just call the unshift function with the argument which will contain the new head. Exactly. And in the continuation, the next important part would be removing the tail in every instance of moving snake. This will prevent us from having a stagnant tail in the game and also will provide us to maintain length of the snake throughout the game. Okay, so what it generally means that let's say this is the ground. I hope my skin is visible to everyone. Just do let me know if you occur any problems here. Fine. So let's say this is the ground. Fine. And this is the snake we are going to use, and it has three elements or three blocks in the array. So whenever it eats something, there will be a +1. Fine. So it will get bigger. Let's say this is the new array. So when it will move in the right direction, it will go this side. But what will happen to this area? This should move forward also, right? So that it will maintain the value 4. If it stays here, then it will go on like this, and it will increase its value whatever we like. So we have to prevent that. Okay. So in total, we will keep shifting the head and keep removing the tail to maintain the proper length of the snake. And this can be done using the pop method. So the pop method removes the last element quickly of the array. Fine. So the last part of the game is the game over. The important part is to set the game over rules with coding, because if there are no rules, the game will go on and there will be a lots of bugs. So the rules are simple. If the snake hits the wall in any 4 direction, the game is over. If the snake eats or collides with itself, the game will be over. The if statement. So there will be needed some conditional statement which will check for the game over situation. Now, please focus here because this is the very main and the tricky part. So the game should remain inside the field or ground, which means that let me show you. First of all, let's go through this. There is a need to check the x and y coordinate of the head of the snake with the xy distance of the ground. That is 137, 117, 317 on x, y, and minus y respectively. So if I explain you, let me show you this white. Fine. Okay. Okay, so this is the area. Okay, fine. Mm, so this is the area which we will work upon, right? So what we have to see that there is some distance from here, there is some distance from here, and also from here, and also from here. So to maintain this, we have to see that what is this particular distance. So if I show this previously, so this is that when we are going this way, this will be 17, right? And this will be 1. And similarly, this will be 13, and this will be 1. So calculating this particular area, because since it is 608 by 608, we have to keep in mind that the game should remain inside this particular area. Just in case it touches here, the game will get over. Okay. The collision and game over. A function of collision is needed where we will call along the passing two parameters that are the new head and the array of snake. And why do you think we'll pass this new head value and the array of snake? It is very simple because we have to check the value of the new head and the array snake so that we can determine whether it is colliding or it is getting together or not. So in this collision function, it will be checked that if the x and y coordinates of the head collides or touches the body array of snake, it will return true or false statement. So what it means that in this collision function, we will check whether the coordinates of the head and the body or the array is touching or not. In case it is touching, we will return true, or else we will return false. And on the basis of true and false, the boolean, we will determine whether we have to continue with our game further or we will stop right there. When the collision returns true, or if statements state true, it will call a method name call clear interval. So if you remember, initially we have I have told that we will start or we will render the game with set interval, which means that it will call the game function again and again in every second or every the 100 milliseconds. So just in case the statement returns true, which means the head is got collided, then the clear interval will be called, which means the game will not function anymore. This will stop the draw function, which was being called initially at the given time period, and this game will stop. So the second part. Now the second part. So now we can see that okay, fine, the game is done. We have made the game. We have decided the regulation rules and everything. Now the next part is the speech recognition, because this is the main thing what we are going to apply. This is the something different which will keep our project different from all the things available online, right? So the speech recognition is the next part. Is about taking input from the user via voice, then interpret it into words and save them, then deploy, then display. Fine. So you are the user. You will display you will call this game. You will give instruction, and the JavaScript will interpret your words and will save them. This requires many types of functionalities. The web APIs will be used. There will be selecting of prototypes from a nest of it, and also have to refine the array and array of strings. This is very simple yet tricky. Why I'm saying, because what is prototype? So prototype is, you can say, predefined template of every function present in the JavaScript, which means that when let's say you are calling one API, right? So if you have worked on any weather web app, then you are calling some weather API. When you call the weather API, there are several prototypes which tells you that what is the humidity, what is the weather time, or you know the area, the state, the locality, and everything. These are all the predefined templates given by the weather API. So these templates or these prototypes can be predefined as well as the user made, because yes, of course, not everything can be predefined. We can construct our own using a constructor, of course. The web APIs. So to access to web speech recognition, there is a web API used by JavaScript which does the work very easily. To make it run, make sure that the page is loaded in a live server mode. This is a very important part, because if you are not in a live server mode, then the functionality or the, you know, getting the speech from the user is will not be in a continuous manner, and it will get stopped in a first blow. Fine. The next is there should be access to using of microphone by the system. Of course, this is very important, because if you have not given the access, the access to the microphone, then it will not happen. While doing or mentioning the web speech recognition, we have to keep in mind in to make it supportive to all the browser. So this is nothing. This is just to make it supportive to all the browsers, just in case someone is on Mozilla or someone is on Google Chrome or in anywhere, it shouldn't affect. So we will use both of them or every bit to make it supportive to all the browser. Okay, so let's just first focus on this image. So you can see that the speech recognition event, when I call, there are several things like bubbles, cancel bubbles, current target, EMA, event phase, results, SRC element. What are these? These are nothing but predefined templates. And also there is a proto, which means the prototypes. Fine. So basically when we are calling this thing now, it returns a huge value, which we have to refine, or you can say we have to get through the nest to get our exact value which we need. Because if you see, it is written that type is result, timestamp is this thing. Okay, fine, but where is our result exactly? So here the result will be in some nest inside the prototypes. While using the web speech, we will receive prototypes which will have all the details and the result of our speech, which will be saved in a nested way. The spoken words will be saved inside the transcript under results. The prototypes are the predefined templates available. This have many functionalities and values which can be used by the coder. So as I told earlier, that where we will find the result, it is in the transcript. So where is the transcript? It is under the results. And where is the result? It is under the speech recognition event. So this is the whole nesting thing which we have to refine in our JavaScript, because we cannot access this directly. For example, we can get the words, the string, the confidence level, and also some other things like giving it grammatical support and many more through these predefined templates. So handling the speech recognition with event listener. So to make the speech recognition working, we have to set this up with an event listener, of course, on the window, along with the methods, properties, and event handlers. So there are various methods like the start, the stop, the abort, and there are different properties like on result, on end, or on audio start or audio end. There are many things, and event handlers also. So where you can just google this and you can just get more info about this, and we will use some of them here today. Here we will use the start method, fine, which will you make the program listen to the user. Okay, very good. We will use the result event inside the event handler. So the method we will use is start. The event handler we will use is the result, and which will work to get some data and will call the function. So what will the result do? So the main function of result event is it will generate the value, it will generate the data which on call from the web speech recognition. So let's say your speech is running, but how you will get the data? I mean, the microphone is on, the thing is on live server, you are speaking, but it is not getting the data. So for this, you can use the result. In continuous, the function will have some array methods or functions which will help the file to traverse through the nested prototypes and get the desired result from the array. So as I told you earlier, this will be a nested thing, the nested array, and we will use many various function of the arrays, the methods and everything to get to our exact refined result. It will occur that we have to fetch data from the array every time, and it will be the 0th position. I will show you everything in our the next part, how this thing we are going to fetch. First, we have to get the result section from the prototype. Then there will be an array, and inside the array, the 0th position will have the transcript. So if I just show it like this, so what it means that just I'm giving a visual representation just to make it clear that why we are going to use this, right? Okay, fine. So mm, okay, so this will be our main event list. What is speech recognition? Inside this, there will be result. Inside this, there will speech recognition. Inside this, there will be result. Inside this, there will be transcript. Inside this, there will be our exact words. Fine, whatever we say, A, B, C, or whatever we said. And then also there is one thing we have to say, that there will be arrays. Fine, and this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, and dot dot dot, and the 0th position will be here, and there will be again arrays which will have 1, 2, 3, and dot dot dot, and the 0th position will be here. So we have to keep in mind that we have to refine in every aspect. First the 0th position, then the result, then this thing, and then the 0th position, and again there will be two array, the 0th and the 1th, and inside the transcript we have to fetch this thing. So our main result will be this, but getting this particular thing. I hope this is clear somewhat, but if not, we will do this. We will do this in our next part. Okay, the screen is, just give me a second. Fine. Okay, so the next thing, the last thing in the speech recognition will be the start of this recognition again after getting the result at first. So this is the thing where we have to focus, because when the result event is fired, when it gets the data, it stops. But we don't want it to stop, because of course we don't want that, okay, snake move left and then no further values are getting input by the user. We don't want that. It means that it will be observed that the program stops running after getting the first input. To continue this, we will use another event listener which will have an event of end. This will fire every time when the speech recognition stops and call the start method inside this function. So what it means that if I explain you in a very easy way, it means that, let's say this is our speech recognition, it is hearing, fine, and then it gets some data, Good. And then the end will be called, and it will again call this. So what means that it will continue in a cycle. It will get a data, it will call the end, and it will again call this result. So it will keep going on and on, because when it comes here, it tries to stop, and when it stops, it will call the end function, and inside this there will be a function calling this particular thing. So this will be like a cycle which we will use in our project. Okay, fine. To continue this, we will need another. Okay, fine. Just let's move ahead. Okay, so the last and the main part is merging or game and voice recognition. Fine. The last and the important part is to combine the game with the web speech recognition. To do this, just simply put all the web speech part inside the game, and then where the controls are defined, change it to event listener of the speech web speech. So if I just put it very easy way, you can recall that what we have done. We have a game, we have a speech recognition, and inside the particular game, we have done it with our keystroke, which means the 37, the 38, the 39, 40, whatever. But now we don't want that. What we want, JavaScript, we want that whatever I say, you have to listen to that. So we just have to replace the key codes with our speech recognized words. To keep it easy to handle, increase the game interval of the game. Okay, I'll show this in the next part. Okay, so thank you. This is the first part. And for the second part, I will show you how the coding is done, and I'll get you into this more deeply. Fine. Okay, just let me stop the screen for a bit. Okay, I'll share my screen now, and I'll open my, what do you see, the everything, the Visual Code Studio Code and all the stuff. So this is my Visual Studio Code, my IDE, which I will be using here. So what do I have right now is that I have a conference named this thing called folder. And inside the folder, I have an image folder, and there are two images. The food, and of course the ground. You can see right here in the bottom, 608 into 608. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a predefined width and length which I've given. Okay, so let's just create. So I'll just create a new file, index.html. Fine. And I'll just name it to Snake Game Tutors Link Con 2020. Okay, great. So inside this body element, what we need to do is, first of all, we have to create our paper, which means our canvas. So inside the canvas, what I'll do is basically I'll give it an ID. Let's say snake, and I will give the width as well as height, same as the image which I have provided, that is that is 608, and here also 608. Fine. Then after this, what I'll do is that I'll call the script tag, which I'll use as snake.js. Fine. So I'll just go here and do snake.js. Fine. So let's just run this for now. I'll open this in our. Okay, so it is happening. Let's just check whether this is occurring or not. Cool. So it is happening. So let's just move ahead. First thing first, we will get the element from our document first of all. So I'll use the constant because it will not change, and it is canvas. So I'll use the CVX. Let's say CVS canvas is equals to, and then it is in our document, and the we will get it by element ID because we have given it the ID name, and the ID name was let me see, it was snake. Fine. Okay, so this is snake. So now we have the element from our canvas, from our document. Now we will get our the 2D context, which means I will change this our canvas into a 2D paper. So for that, I'll again use this constant method. Let's say ctx equals to, and what do I have to change the thing? We have to change the canvas into 2D. So I have the canvas in CVS, right? And I'll use get context, and this will be 2D. Okay, fine. So I have my canvas. I have set my canvas as 2D. Now next is loading our things. So first of all, we have to keep in mind that every bit is of 32. So what I'll do right now is that I'll create a box of 32. Yes. So what this is the every single unit. Fine. And then I will get the ground, the food image, and the snake. So to get the ground, I'll use constructors. So for that, I'll use const ground new, and new, let's say I'll use image because I'm going to use image, and this will be in capital, I guess. Yes, this will be in capital. And some, okay, something is happening here. And then I'll get the ground. What is this? Just a second. Okay, fine. This is the this is the error. So we will give the path. So what is the path? It is right now img slash, what is the name of the, this is ground 3.png. Ground 3.png. So once you have once you do this, I can let's just const food image equals to new image, and then it will be food image dot src equals to, and similarly I will give the path to the food, and that is food2 dot png. Fine. So our ground is set, our food is loaded. Next is we'll create an empty string for snake simply, which will later on get all the values. And initially I'll give snake the 0th index position, which will have different values with respect to x and y's. So I mentioned you earlier that the maximum x value can get is 9 unit of the boxes, right? So that will be 9. That will be 9 into the box, which is 32 bits. Fine. And also we will do this for y, but for y we have 10 box. Okay. So this is the initial thing which I have mentioned, that initially the snake on its 0th index, it will be positioned on the 9th coordinate from, that is 9 into 32 from x-axis and 10 into 32 from y-axis. So that is, I think, the center, and this will do it like this. Fine. So so I have done the image, I have done the snake. Now the next thing is we have to create the food. Okay, so for this, let's say this will be a changing thing. So the food will be an object which will have this thing. So here we have to keep we have to focus very few things. We have to focus few things, that first of all it will get the random value, and then we have to get the maximum value or change the float into integer, but also then we have to multiply it with the value of the main box or the main area, so that the value comes in between 1 to 17 and 1 to 15. So for that, first of all, let's do this math dot random. Fine. So math dot random will generate what? This will generate 0 to 1 value. But we want the values between what? We want values between 17 to 1. So for this, we will do 17 plus 1. So between the 17 to 1, the value will be in float, and we will add. So to keep this inside, we will put this inside math dot floor. So what it will do is that it will change the everything from this random value, the float value, into an integer, and this integer will be something in between 1 to 17 and something between 1 to 13 in the next line. But we don't want the value in 1 to 17, we want the value in boxes. So at last we will multiply it with box, which is 32. Okay, so next, so similarly we will do this for y, but for y we have different coordinates, so it will be something like 15, and plus will be 3, because on one side it is 15 and another side it is 3. Let me show you how. Okay, so in this side this is 3, and this is, and this whole is 13. Fine. And this side it is whole is 17 and one side is 1. So if I just add, in total it is 15 plus 3 18, and this is 17 plus 1 18. So in total it is 18 by 18. Fine. Okay, so this will so what we have done is that we have the food, we have created the object of food and which has an random value, which will generate a random value with mat.floor and mat.random with 17 1 and box. Fine. So let's just create a variable for score, because we need to keep the track of score, which will be initially 0. Okay, fine. So what will be the next? So this is just the loading part. The next is, of course, the game part. So for the game part, we have to do what? We have to draw the things for our canvas. Fine. So before drawing, let's just call the game. So for calling, I'll declare a game variable, which will have set interval, and the function which it will call named as game, and I want, let's say, 300. Fine, 300 should do good. This will help us to maintain our game also. And now the game function game. So here in the interval, it is calling the game function. Now we have to mention the game function to let's just draw it. Okay, fine. We have to declare the function draw. So what it will do? First thing, it will get the images. Fine. So let's just draw CTX because it is in 2D. And what we will do, we will do draw image, and then we will give it ground 0 0. So what it means, that it will give the value for what do you say, the image of ground, how it should be visible in the web page. So it will be on 0 by 0 coordinate from the ground. Fine. So next thing is the length of the snake. We have to get the for loop. Let I equals to 1 initially, and I should be less than what? The predefined maximum and value of snake. So what will be the maximum value of snake? That is snake dot length. So and every time it will get I plus plus. So what will happen in for? So the things which will happen in for is that every time this occurs, the function is called, it will fill the style with a color. This, it will fill the rectangle, it will fill the stroke, it will fill the everything. So first let's fill with fill style. So in fill style, we will use a ternary operator. Okay, so what it means, that we have to fill the style when I is initially in 0th position. If it is true, then we will fill it with, what do you say, green. And if it's I, and if the I is greater than, if the I is not 0, then we will fill it with white. Okay, and this is the conditional rendering which we will follow. This is the ternary operator which will follow, and then we will fill it with ctx dot fill rect. So now the main thing is that you can see it is written field rect will have an X number, Y number, W number, H number. What this means? It means that it will have the coordinates of every part of that array. So when I say every part, it means the snake array on its I index and X coordinate. Similarly, snake on its I index on Y coordinate, and what it will fill 32 by 32, right? Because we don't want more than that. So this is the for the filling the snake with color. Now next is we will add a stroke, like let me just comment it. So adding a stroke is nothing but just giving it some border to the, and it is stroke style. So it will just give a border to what, let's say I'll declare it as red. Fine. And it will give red to what? Same thing, ctx dot stroke rect, and it will have similar value from here, because same thing we want for giving it a border. Fine. Snake index I for the x coordinate, snake index I for the y coordinate, and box. So after this, we have to call the draw. We have to draw for the image. So it will be out of this for loop. It will be not inside for loop. So similarly, ctx dot what was the name of this thing? Food image, right? Yes, food image. But we will use draw image, and then we will use what the name food image, and where it will be placed. If you remember, it will be placed here. The x coordinate should be x dot food, and y coordinate should be y dot food. Sorry, I mean food. X coordinate should be food dot x, y coordinate should be food dot y. So food x generated from random value, and food generated from random value dot y. So the food is low, is there now. Now let's get the score. Fine. This is, what do you say? Food drawing. This is the ground drawing. Now this will be score drawing. Score drawing will be similar. It will have ctx dot similarly fill style, and inside this fill tag, let's say I'll use white color, and I'll give some font. Here I will use, what is the name, Changa one. I need to give it some pixels just in case, just to make it visible. So 45 pixel one should do good. Fine. And then the next will be ctx dot fill text. So you can see that here is fill rectangle, which means we will fill the rectangle of the snake. There is stroke rectangle, that means we will give the stroke of the borderline of the rectangle, and here is the fill the text, which means we will color the text. And to color the text, there will be what, which text? The score text. Score text. And where should it place? Okay, so it should be placed two times the box from x coordinate, and for the y coordinate I'll put it 1.6 times the box. Okay, so you can see right here, the green, the I is initially 0, so it is green. it is positioned at 0 0, so it is just in the up corner, and the score is 2 boxes from X, 2 boxes from X right here, and 1.6 boxes from top, that is right here. Great. Now let's see if our what do you say, this thing is working or not. That is random function. See, you can see that the apple or the food is generating randomly everywhere. Okay, so far so good, everything is working. Now let's move forward. So what is next? So the next thing is, we have now that everything is loaded inside our this thing, we have to define our event listeners. So let's get our event listener right here. This will be event listener. Fine. So what event listener we will use? We will use the event listener of key down for our document. So document dot add event listener. And what is the name of this thing? This is key down. Fine. And for the key down, I want it to call a function named direction. Okay, fine. So what is happening? The key down is the event, and it will call the direction. So before that, so after this, the main thing is we have to get the direction function. So function direction. So we have to see that with this key down event, it will pass down some values or some thing as our, what do you say, the parameter. So we will have this event parameter to check what is the result we are getting. Fine. So the next thing is we have to check for the key code. Fine. If event, which means with the result we are getting and the key code, the spelling will be key and capital C code, is double equals to 37, then we have to give it left. But give it left to which? We have to give it left to a variable. So let's just give it like this and declare a variable here. Fine. Else if, so in the else if position, let's just copy this thing. So first is 37, then 38, then 39, then 40. So we will go through this again. This will be the left, and then it will be up, and then it will be right, and then it will be down. So I told you earlier that we have to keep in mind that we have to also check the things that the previously the value is not just the opposite. So for this we will use not equals to, opposite of left should be right, right, and let's just copy this thing. Okay, fine. So for this now simply just let me change this up, should be left, down should be up. Okay, great. So we are changing on the basis of this thing called key down, right? So now next thing will be just getting into the main part. So the main part will be changing the direction of the snake. So for this, we'll just go to here. Sorry. Yeah. So let's just go to the draw function and then get to the, we have to get the old head. And for the old head, what we'll do is that, let's say we'll create new variable that is snake of x-axis, and initially the value will of the 0 addition position into x. And similarly this will be y, and this will be y. So this will be the next part. And after this, what we can do is that simply just go again with the direction part, which is so now we will give the direction to the head. Let's say if d double, if the d is given left from our function, then what we will do is snake x should move one less of the box. And similarly, we will declare for every other part. This will be left and then up. And now here we have to keep in mind that when it is going up, it will be not in x direction, it will be in y direction, which will be minus one box. And when it is going in right in x direction, it should not be minus, it should be plus. And in next, it should be y, and the box should be plus. Fine. So we gave it the direction. Everything is going. Now we have to add new head. Why do we need to add new head? Because every time it moves, we need to shift towards our new head. So I'll create a new head object, and inside I'll have again y-axis value, that will be snake x, and same with the y. Fine. And so the next thing will be, we have to see that if the things are going in a way or not. That is, if the snake is eating or not, we have to check that. If the snake is getting going somewhere else and we are making it pop or not, we have to check everything for that. So let's just move down, and if snake x double equals to food dot x and snake y double equals to food dot y. It means that if the snake head x position and snake y head position is matching with the food respectively, then what we will do, we'll just increase the score, and we will generate the food again. So for this, I can just do one thing. I'll just go up, copy this thing, and put it right here. Yes. Okay. So after this, the thing doesn't end here. We have to see that if the score is getting increased, then we have to remove our tail. So there will be an else, and inside this L, we'll just pop the tail. Okay, fine. So this will be popping the tail, and we have, and for the shifting, I'll use snake dot unshift. And what we will unshift, we will shift the new head, which we have mentioned earlier here. Okay, great. So now the eating part is done, and the movement part is done. Now the last thing is the game over part, game over part. So for game over, I told you it will be an if statement. So for this if statement, just look carefully. The snake x, the x direction should be less than box, because in one side of x, it is 1 unit. Or for the x snake x direction, it should be greater than 17 into box. So in one direction, it is less than 1 unit, and another direction, it should be greater than 17 into box units. Fine. Or similarly, there will be for snake y, and it should be less than 3 into box, and snake y should be greater than 17 into box. But yeah, done. But I don't think it is end yet, because okay, something is missing. Snake this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what here till now here it is just about the box in it should be inside the premises. But what about the collision factor? So for that collision factor, we will add another thing which will call a function named collision, and which will pass two things, which will be the new head, of course, which we will check, and it will be checked with the snake array. So we will get the snake, and when it get done, then we will call the clear interval function. So at last, the thing we have to see that we have to put up this collision function. Let's just put the collision function. Let's say, where do we show? Let's do this before the draw function. Fine. So collision function. So function collision. So function collision. So we are getting two parameters. One first is head, last next is array, and inside this we will check for let I equals to 0 and array. The I should, if the I is less than 0 and I should be less than array length, which is the snake length, the I will get plus plus. And if this satisfies, then we will check if the head x coordinate is equals to the array, which means the array in the recent index or the I index x coordinate and. So what it means that if the head coordinates and the body coordinates meets, Fine. Then we will return what? We will return, what is this? Will return true. If this doesn't works, then we will return false. Okay, so now is it done? Let's just see whether it is working or not. So this is our game. Let's see. Okay, so it is working. Let's check. Yes, you can see the array is getting longer and longer, and it is also eating the food. Let's check if it is getting collided with the boundary, what happens. So the game stopped. Fine. Now let's just move ahead. Now it's time to put our speech recognition, and to do this we will make this on window, and the word is speech recognition, right? And we have to make sure that this speech recognition not only has the what is not only has a not only is approachable to the window, Chrome or Mozilla, it should be approachable to both. So we will make it supportive to both. So we'll use window dot. This you can find on Google, that it is used WebKit speech recognition, right? So after doing this, we just have to get this whole thing inside a constant, which I will name as recognition, which will have basically the new speech recognition. So it will call upon the constructor, and after this what we can do is simply just we will need a variable. Let's say let final direction. This variable will hold the direction which we will give with from the speech recognition task. So after this, when we are done here, we'll just go down and we will go in this. So we will just, for a second, we'll just copy this, comment this out, and here what we have to do is simply in the document, we don't want it anywhere in the document, we now want it in recognition, because recognition is linked with new speech recognition and it is linked with window. So basically it is on window, so we don't need the document any further, and here it won't be key down. So what we will use is we will use result, and simply it will call the direction function, and inside the direction it has an event, but this event has to be refined. So how we will refine? Let's say we will declare a let's say hello. Fine. And inside this hello we will have array from, and what this array will have is that it will, what this array from does is that it will create a copy of the whole array which we will receive, and inside we will have event, of course, and from the event we want the results, and once we get the result we will map it, like we will go through every bit of it, and after mapping it we will need to map with results only. So this time we will use result, like single result, and we will call a function. So no, we will go through every first index of the result. So to go through this we'll go to like this, and in the first index we will have transcript, which means that when we will get the event here, from here we will create an array copy of the all the event result, and we will map through each result, and in each result we will get the 0th index of result, and in the 0th index of result we will get the transcript. Fine. So basically this is array from event dot results, and we will map it result to the 0th index of transcript. So when it is done, we will just get the hello value, and we will see that the hello has a string or an array of strings. So we first have to get there will be arrays, in that array of hello the 0th index is required. So to get that, we have declared a final direction in which we will get the hello of 0 index. So we got the 0th index of hello, but in the 0th index of hello we will get an string array. Like in single array there will be several strings, so in the several strings we need to get the first one. And to get the first one, let's say we declare let key. So in this key we will get the first one, or we can just use the final direction also, but I will prefer using final direction. Okay, great. So now we have the key and it has all the direction, and now we have to use the key. So how do we use the key? We just simply get all the event codes, delete it and replace it with the key. And the 37, what we need left, 38 we need up, 39 we need right, and in 40 we need down. So simple is that okay, fine, we now do not need the key code. Now we need just the what we have said from our this thing called the speech recognition. Fine, so far so good. Now next is that this is done. So at last we just have to call the function. So for calling the function it is very easy. We just have to get the method, and what method we will use is that recognition dot start. So it will just simply start the recognition. But one thing we have to get that, if you have remembered previously I have told that what if the it gets the result in the first go, it stops. So after it stops we need to again fire this particular method. So to do this we will go through recognition again, and we will add an event listener which will fire only when it is ended. Fine. And when it is ended, what it will fire? It will fire the recognition start dot strt start. So let's just try talking and see what it is getting. Okay, so we can see it is seeing uncaught reference error, result is not defined. Okay, so event result map. Okay, so we will have to give it a arrow. Okay, now it should do. Hello, hello. So you can see it is getting the hello, it is going good, it is in the 0th induction. So now we will say up, let's just try again, down, left. Okay, so it is working well. Let's just give it some more time, let's say 500. Now this left, down. Okay, so now you can see it is working. So this will be the end of this session. I hope you have learned something today, and this all code is working fine. There is no bug anymore. So thank you so much for joining me today.